Dear Chosen One, the Spirit is speaking urgently, and I cannot hold back this message any longer. Tonight, something shifted in the unseen realm, and while you were unaware, forces of darkness tried to surround you with a curse. They whispered in secret. They moved in silence. They thought the cover of night would hide their intentions, but heaven saw everything. What they tried to place on your life was meant to drain your strength, to weaken your faith, and to confuse your path. But the Lord overturned it in the very hour it was spoken. The trap has already collapsed on its makers, and what they intended for you has already turned against them. This is not just another moment in your journey. It is a prophetic turning point you must understand before it's too late. Have you felt it, Chosen One? The heaviness in your spirit, the sudden wave of exhaustion, the restless dreams that felt like shadows pressing in on your mind? Those were not coincidences, and you are not imagining things. What you sensed was the ripple of a spiritual battle taking place around you. The enemy believed you were vulnerable, believed you were distracted enough to let their curses take root. But what they didn't know is that the covenant of God around your life cannot be broken. The very words they spoke against you are already circling back, and the snares they set in your path are now chains around their own feet. Tell me, can you sense that shift in the atmosphere? Because heaven is making it known. What I am about to reveal to you will not only expose what was truly happening behind the scenes, but it will also show you why God allowed it and what it confirms about your destiny. This is deeper than you realize, and it will make sense by the time you hear the final word. Chosen One, you cannot afford to miss this, because it carries the explanation for battles you have faced, the reason behind the sudden resistance, and the evidence that you are stepping into a greater season. Stay with me until the end, because in this message, you will see how the curse that was meant to destroy you became the prophecy that will elevate you. Chosen One, understand this. The attacks you felt were not random inconveniences or strange emotions you couldn't explain. They were precise darts aimed directly at your spirit, designed to hit you in the dark when you least expected it. The enemy wanted you to doubt your own discernment, to dismiss those feelings as paranoia or weakness. But the truth is, your spirit was sounding the alarm. What happened last night was not small. It was the confirmation that forces are actively moving against your destiny. Yet what they didn't realize is that the covering over your life is so strong that even their most calculated curses become powerless in the presence of God's decree. You see, Chosen One, the enemy never attacks without reason. They target you because you carry light that exposes their darkness. You've probably noticed that opposition intensifies right when you are about to take a new step forward. That is no coincidence. Their timing reveals their fear. They knew you were on the edge of breakthrough, so they conspired to block it before it manifested. But heaven has already determined that no curse can override the blessing spoken over you. What they launched against you is already ricocheting back toward them, like arrows returning to the archer. Think for a moment. Why do the same faces keep showing up in your opposition? Why do people who once acted like allies suddenly shift into quiet adversaries? It's because the enemy is desperate to find vessels through which to deliver their poison. The curse last night wasn't only words spoken in the unseen, it was energy fueled by envy, bitterness, and spiritual rebellion. But their alliance cannot stand against divine order. God's word says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." And this time, you are literally watching that promise unfold in real time. Chosen One, let this sink deep. The heaviness you carried last night was never yours to hold. It was the residue of a curse that bounced off your shield and landed back in the lap of its sender. That weight you felt in your chest? It lifted not because you fought it, but because heaven intercepted it. The Lord himself said, "Touch not my anointed." And when they dared to touch you in spirit, they activated a reversal that they cannot escape. You are walking proof that divine justice is not delayed. It is immediate when the chosen are targeted. And now, the Spirit wants you to recognize the pattern. Every time someone conspires against you, their own lives begin to unravel. It's not something you wished for or prayed for, but it's the natural law of the Spirit. Curses cannot remain suspended in the atmosphere. They must find a home, and since your spirit is sealed, they return to sender. This is why people who secretly despise you often start to fall into chaos shortly after plotting against you. It is not your doing. It is God showing them the cost of attempting to curse a chosen vessel. This is why your presence makes people uneasy, chosen one. They may smile at you, but inside they are wrestling with the reality that nothing they attempt can touch you. You radiate a protection they can't comprehend, and it terrifies them. That's why they whisper. That's why they plot. That's why they keep trying. But every attempt only proves your calling more. Every curse only turns into another testimony. Every attack only reminds them that you are untouchable because you belong to God. Stay alert, because this revelation is not just about what happened last night. It's about the season you've entered. The enemy knows time is short, and their desperation is proof that your destiny is closer than ever. That is why you must not ignore the signs, must not dismiss the strange feelings, must not brush off the weight you sense in your spirit. Heaven is teaching you to discern the battles around you so you can walk in authority. This video is your confirmation. What they sent against you has been canceled, and the curse they released has already become their own downfall. Chosen one. The enemy believed that by striking you at night, when your body was at rest, your guard would be lowered, and the curse would find easy entry. But they underestimated the fact that your soul is guarded even in your sleep, surrounded by angels who do not slumber. That's why the dreams came so vivid, why the atmosphere in your room may have felt heavy, why you woke with a strange sense of unease. These were signs of the unseen battle taking place on your behalf. And the most powerful truth is this: even in your unconscious state, you were victorious, because heaven fought for you. The curse never reached your spirit. It was intercepted before it could settle. This is why you must never underestimate the value of your covenant, chosen one. When others try to play with dark powers, they forget there is a line they cannot cross. You belong to God, and your life is sealed in His hands. Every attempt to harm you is not just an attack on you, but an act of rebellion against God Himself. That is why the consequences are so severe. They may think they are sending words, energy, or intentions only against you, but spiritually, they are standing against the one who anointed you. And when someone challenges God's decree, they cannot escape the backlash. That is why their own words have chained them, and their curses have returned as judgment. You may wonder, why would God even allow such an attempt to happen? Why not block it before it even touched the edges of your life? The Spirit says it is to show you how real the warfare is, to sharpen your discernment, and to prove His power in the midst of battle. If you never felt the attack, you would never see the reversal. If you never sensed the heaviness, you would not recognize the victory. God allowed you to feel the edge of the weapon only so you would understand the magnitude of His shield. It wasn't to break you, chosen one, but to confirm that you are walking in authority that cannot be touched. Remember this: curses are powerless without agreement. The enemy tries to slip lies into your mind, hoping you will believe them, hoping you will unknowingly sign the contract. But you did not agree. You did not give consent. That's why the curse could not remain with you. The moment you resisted in spirit, even with a simple prayer, even with the silent call of your heart to God, it broke. Heaven rushed to defend you, and the energy of their attack was forced to turn back. That's why you are still standing today, not weakened, but stronger than before. You have proof that the devil's schemes cannot stick to your life. Chosen one, the Spirit is showing me that your enemies are confused right now. They cannot understand why what they sent hasn't worked. They thought this curse would leave you drained, sick, or broken. But instead, you are glowing with a new strength. They are watching, and they see that their words have had no effect. What they don't realize is that the very poison they created has already begun eating away at them. Their lives will show the evidence. They cannot escape the boomerang effect of spiritual law. What you release returns to you. And because they aimed destruction, they are now drinking their own poison. This is why you must walk with boldness, not fear. The presence of attack is not a sign that you are weak, but a sign that you are valuable. Heaven would not guard someone who carries nothing. The pressure you feel proves your position. When the darkness rises against you, it is confirmation of the light you carry. And the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still moving forward, is the testimony that you are not just surviving. You are divinely protected. The curse has been turned back, and your enemies will soon realize they cannot stop what God has ordained. Chosen one, hear this with your spirit. Every attempt against you is fuel for your rise. What they tried to bury you with becomes the soil where God plants your next victory. What they whispered in shadows becomes the platform where your testimony shines. Their curses are no longer threats. They are confirmations. Each one is a receipt proving that your destiny is too powerful to be delayed. And as you continue forward, you will see that what was meant to break you only built a stronger foundation for your calling. This is why you must not look back, must not fear, must not shrink. For every curse turned back, there is a blessing multiplied on your life. Chosen one, last night's attack was meant to silence you, to take the very breath out of your spirit, but instead it became the trumpet blast announcing your authority. Do you see the irony? They tried to strip you of your voice, but heaven turned their curse into confirmation that your words carry power. The enemy would not waste their resources on someone irrelevant. The fact that you were targeted proves that you are marked by heaven and feared by hell. Every whisper against you only amplifies the truth of who you are. And now the reversal of that curse has begun to echo loudly in the spiritual realm. Think about how many times the enemy has tried this pattern before. Chosen one. He waits until you are on the edge of breakthrough, then strikes in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes it comes as sudden conflict, sometimes as betrayal, sometimes as a heavy darkness that presses down on your chest. But notice the outcome every single time. You rise stronger, while those who attacked you begin to stumble. This is not coincidence. It is spiritual law at work. The pit they dug for you becomes their own grave. The fire they lit for you becomes their own consuming flame. Last night was no different, except this time the reversal was immediate. The Spirit wants you to see this from heaven's perspective. While you felt the pressure, angels were surrounding you, forming a wall of fire on every side. The curse released against you was like a dart that hit a divine shield, and the shield redirected it. That is why you may have felt the brush of it, but not the fullness. The Spirit allowed you to sense just enough so that you would understand the reality of the battle, but not enough to harm you. Do you understand the magnitude of this protection? You were chosen not just to endure, but to witness how God fights for you in real time. Chosen one, many underestimate how dangerous it is to curse someone anointed. They think their words are just whispers in the dark, but the moment they speak against you, they are sowing into their own destruction. That is why the lives of your enemies often show cycles of confusion, breakdown, and turmoil. They invited that chaos when they tried to release it against you. What they built against you becomes the storm that sweeps them away. And even now, as you listen to this message, some of them are beginning to feel the very weight they wished upon you. It has returned home, and they cannot escape the consequences. But you must not become proud or vengeful in this chosen one. This is not about celebrating their downfall. It is about recognizing God's justice. Their curses turned against them are not your victory to flaunt, but your evidence to trust deeper. The Lord is teaching you that He will defend you without you lifting a hand. Your role is to stay focused, stay pure, and keep walking the path He has marked for you. When you do this, you give no doorway for darkness to enter, and every attempt against you will keep failing. The battle belongs to God, and He has already proven that you are under His protection. This reversal is also a signal of your promotion. Have you noticed that every major blessing in your life was preceded by heavy attack? That is because breakthrough is always birthed through battle. The curse last night was not a sign that you are failing. It was a sign that something greater is about to manifest. The enemy tried to stop it at the threshold, but their own attack became the confirmation that you've stepped into a new realm of authority. God is not only protecting you, He is elevating you. What was meant to crush you has become the announcement of your next season. So, chosen one, let your heart be at peace. Do not fear the curses, the whispers, the unseen rituals. They cannot touch you, because the hand of God has already intercepted them. Instead, take this as a divine reminder that your destiny is unstoppable. The fact that you were attacked shows your value. The fact that you overcame shows your calling. And the fact that the curse turned back proves that God Himself is actively fighting for you. Stand firm, for this is not the end of your story. It is the unfolding of a testimony that will silence every voice raised against you. Chosen one, hear me clearly. The curse released against you was meant to be the final blow, the one that drained your energy and stripped away your confidence. But instead, it became the loudest evidence yet that heaven's hand rests upon you. This is why you cannot take last night lightly. The enemy carefully planned it, gathering every ounce of bitterness and envy they could muster, hoping that in the hidden hours their words would pierce your soul. But your life is surrounded by fire, your spirit shielded by divine covenant, and their arrows bounced back like sparks hitting a mountain of stone. You were never their true target. What they struck was God's anointing, and that is why the curse returned with multiplied force. You must understand, chosen one, that when people conspire against you, they are not simply moving in their own will. They become vessels for darker powers who see your light as a threat to their kingdom. Every whisper, every negative word, every secret ritual is fueled by spiritual forces that tremble at your existence. That is why it feels heavier than normal conflict. That is why the dreams turn strange, the atmosphere shifts, and your body senses an unexplainable pressure. These are signs of spiritual warfare, signals that the unseen is moving. But what they fail to understand is that you were born with an authority that overrules their alliances. You don't fight for victory. You stand in victory, because the battle was already settled before they even opened their mouths. Think of how many times, chosen one, the enemy has tried to bury you. They've attacked your health, your relationships, your peace of mind, your finances, and yet here you stand. What is the explanation? It is that curses cannot remain where the Spirit of God dwells. They may brush against you, but they cannot take root. You might feel the pressure for a night, but joy always comes in the morning. Their words dissolve, their rituals collapse, and their energy circles back to consume them. This is why they grow weaker while you grow stronger, why they fall apart while you are lifted higher. Every attempt to curse you is another proof that your destiny is unshakable. Chosen one, let me reveal something deeper. The enemy knows that their time is short. That's why the attacks are intensifying. That's why the pressure feels heavier than before. They are desperate because they can see what you have not yet fully seen. Your breakthrough is near. They know the moment you step into this next level of destiny, you will carry an authority they cannot approach. So they tried to stop it in advance with a curse, hoping to drain you before you arrived at the threshold. But instead, their actions only accelerated what heaven had already planned. The curse turned into confirmation, the attack turned into announcement, and the setback turned into a setup for greater victory. Consider this, chosen one. Why do you think God allowed you to feel the attack instead of shielding you completely from the sensation? It was not because He abandoned you, but because He wanted you to recognize the reality of your calling. If you never felt the sting, you would not appreciate the shield. If you never sensed the battle, you would not understand the victory. God allowed you to brush against the shadow of the curse so that you could see how powerless it truly is when it meets His protection. The enemy thought they exposed your weakness, but what was truly revealed was your indestructible covering. This is why your faith is growing, because every attack has become a lesson in God's sovereignty. Now, chosen one, look closely at the evidence around you. Pay attention to those who plotted against you. Have their lives not begun to show cracks? Have they not stumbled in the very areas they wish to see you stumble? This is no accident. It is the reversal of curses in motion. They built weapons for you, but those weapons are now lodged in their own hands. They dug pits for you, but they are the ones falling inside. This is the law of the Spirit, the principle written into creation itself. What you sow, you reap. They sowed destruction into your path, and now they are reaping it in their own. And you, chosen one, are standing as the living proof that no curse can overrule a divine promise. So do not fear what comes against you, and do not mourn over what the enemy tried to release. Instead, lift your head, because this battle is proof that you are already walking in victory. You were not spared from attack because you are weak. You were targeted because you are chosen. And the reversal of this curse is not just about your protection, it is about your promotion. The louder the curses, the greater the blessings that follow. The heavier the attack, the stronger the confirmation of your destiny. And soon, the very ones who tried to curse you will have no choice but to witness your rise, because God is turning their words into fuel for your testimony. Chosen one, your life has become a mirror in which the enemy sees his own failure. Every attempt to bind you has ended with them bound. Every curse to weaken you has left them weakened. Every trap to silence you has only made your voice louder. This is why they are restless. They cannot comprehend why their efforts keep collapsing. And the truth is, it's because you are protected by an authority greater than their rebellion. You carry the seal of heaven, and that seal reflects every curse back to sender. They are discovering the hard way that you are untouchable, not because of who you are in the flesh, but because of the covenant that rests upon your soul. Think about this carefully, chosen one. If the curse had worked, if the heaviness had remained, your enemies would have celebrated in silence, believing they had finally broken you. But what they did not expect was the speed of God's reversal. The heaviness lifted, the attack turned, and their joy turned into fear. They thought they had power, but what they truly did was reveal how powerless they are in the presence of God's decree. Every failed attack only confirms your strength. Every returned curse only testifies of God's hand. And this cycle will continue until even the most stubborn adversary recognizes that to curse you is to curse themselves. Chosen one, the Spirit says you must not let these battles drain your peace. Instead, learn to see them as signals. Every sudden heaviness, every strange dream, every wave of pressure is not random. It is an indicator that the enemy is plotting. And yet, it is also an indicator that God is about to reveal His power again. The presence of warfare is proof of your elevation. The storm that rises against you is the announcement of new territory. You must train your spirit to interpret these signs not as defeat, but as confirmation. This way, instead of fear, you will feel anticipation. Instead of despair, you will feel assurance, because you know, without a shadow of doubt, that the curse will always return and the blessing will always remain. Look around you, chosen one, and notice the patterns of your journey. Each breakthrough has been preceded by conflict. Each blessing has been born out of battle. The greater the storm, the greater the promise that followed. This is not coincidence. It is the design of your destiny. God has allowed these attacks to sharpen your discernment and to stretch your faith. He has allowed the curses to bounce off you, not only to protect you, but to show you the spiritual authority that resides within you. You are not merely surviving attacks. You are being trained, elevated, and prepared to carry a mantle that others cannot carry. Your story is not one of defeat, but one of continual reversal and victory. Chosen one, understand this truth. The very fact that you are still standing is a prophecy. If the curse could not destroy you last night, then nothing in this season will be able to stop you. God is demonstrating through your life that no weapon formed against His chosen will prosper. The enemy may continue to try, but each attempt will serve only as another testimony, another reminder, another chapter in your book of victories. You are not just protected, you are preserved. And that preservation is the sign that your mission is far from over. In fact, it is only beginning to unfold in greater ways than you imagined. This is the time, chosen one, to strengthen your stance. Do not lower your guard, do not dismiss the signs, and do not underestimate the reality of spiritual warfare. But also, do not live in fear, for every plan against you has already been overturned, every curse has already been reversed, and every whisper has already been silenced. Your enemies are collapsing under the weight of their own words, while you are rising under the strength of God's promises. And the higher you rise, the more evident it becomes to all that your life is proof of divine justice. This season is not about your enemies winning. It is about God showing the world that you are His chosen vessel. So now, chosen one, stand firm and lift your eyes to the heavens. Do not be distracted by the noise of those who hate you. Do not let the curses spoken in shadows shake your confidence, for the Lord has already declared that you are blessed, and no one can reverse it. What was sent against you last night has already been turned back, and what was meant to break you has already been transformed into the foundation of your breakthrough. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of a new chapter where your enemies fade into the background and your destiny comes into full light. You are safe, you are chosen, and you are unstoppable. So I declare to you now, chosen one, walk in peace, walk in power, walk in purpose. Do not fear the darkness, because it fears you. Do not dread the curses, because they cannot remain with you. Your path is illuminated, your destiny is secure, and your enemies are powerless. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter of unstoppable rise. You are in the safest place you can be, in the hands of God, where every curse becomes fuel for your calling, and every attack becomes proof that you are chosen for greatness. Stand firm, for your breakthrough is not coming. It has already begun.